Good morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Morning Espresso on the SDH Network. The game never stops, and neither do we. It's brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. I'm Jason Longshore. We've got a massive global weekend ahead. MLS Conference Finals, the Copa Libertadores final between two Brazilian superpowers, a UEFA Women's Nations League final, Arsenal at Chelsea, Roma and Napoli, pressure picking up all over Europe. Plenty more news to get into. Grab your cup. Let's get rolling. Let's start in Major League Soccer. The conference finals are both tomorrow. We will start in Fort Lauderdale, the Eastern Conference Final, Miami hosting NYC at Chase Stadium. Look, the headline here is kind of obvious. Lionel Messi is in historic form. 12 goal contributions in 4 playoff matches, 6 goals, 6 assists. He's dictating everything Miami does. His semifinal performance in Cincinnati was vintage, 1 goal, 3 assists, total control of the match. But look, it's not just Messi when we talk about Miami, and it's not just the Super Friends either. Matteo Silvetti, the 19-year-old from Argentina, he has replaced Luis Suarez right now, and we'll see if he does on Saturday. He's produced a goal and 3 assists in his last 2 matches. Javier Mascherano has a real decision now. Do you stick with Silvetti and have Suarez available off the bench? Or do you bring the veteran back in against an NYC team that's probably going to sit back a little bit more and defend deeper? You add in Tadeo Ashende heating up, and you've got a Miami attack that's really humming at the right time. On the flip side, for NYC, Matt Freese, you could have him as the MVP of the postseason so far. 3 clean sheets in 4 games, including that spectacular one in Philadelphia where he made 5 saves. One of them just incredible with the kick save. That knocked out the Supporters' Shield winners, Philadelphia Union. This is an NYC team with a bunch of injuries. No Alonso Martinez, no Andres Perea, Aiden O'Neill suspended, but they've embraced the underdog identity really well. And Maxi Morales, also a outstanding veteran who's been around the block a few times at 38 years old. He turned back the clock in the semifinal. Can he do it again in the conference final? These are the kind of stories that make MLS playoffs great. If Messi dominates, Miami is going to host MLS Cup. If Matt Freese stands on his head again, this could get really interesting. It's going to be a fun one starting at 6 o'clock on Saturday. Then at 9 o'clock, San Diego FC hosting the Vancouver Whitecaps in the Western Conference Final. San Diego, year 1, they could become the 2nd expansion team ever to reach MLS Cup after Chicago did it in 1998. San Diego broke expansion records with 63 points, with 19 wins, number 1 seed in the West. Anders Dreyer is playing like an MVP with 19 goals, 19 assists, and he's still producing in the postseason. But on the Vancouver side, they started out so well this season, navigated some injuries, then added Thomas Muller, 9 goals and 4 assists in 11 games. He's added that leadership, and he's definitely enhanced the strong culture with the Whitecaps. They're in their first conference final ever in Major League Soccer. They're coming off of a CONCACAF Champions Cup final appearance, and now they're 90 minutes away from MLS Cup. The midfield battle feels like that's going to decide this match. Sebastian Berhalter, Andres Cubas. Berhalter has been incredible this season, and he's played his way into U.S. men's national team conversation, and not just because he's a good culture guy and a hard worker, but because he's an excellent player that has come into his own. Jeppe Tverskov and company on the San Diego side. Tverskov has been one of the most underrated players in the league, in my opinion, in the little bit that I've had a chance to see of San Diego in person when they played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium earlier this year. Berhalter is an all-star now. Tverskov is an all-star. Cubas and Berhalter have a really good partnership. It feels like the midfield could decide this match. One wrinkle in it, though, Tristan Blackman is suspended for Vancouver after his red card against LAFC. That's a big hole in the back that the Whitecaps are going to have to overcome. Can they do that on the road? I think they can. I'm not sure how I feel about this game yet. I'm not going to make predictions. I'm not going to make predictions for these two. But I feel a little more uncertain of the Western Conference one than the Eastern Conference one. I do. I don't know if NYC can hold up for 90 minutes in Fort Lauderdale. I do think they'll make it difficult for a while. The Western Conference one, I'm just looking forward to the match. I really don't know which way this one turns. Let's go down to Lima, Peru, the host of the Copa Libertadores final. You're going to get 3 games in a row if you want to do this on Saturday. And yes, I will be doing this. 4 o'clock, it is the Copa Libertadores final, Flamengo and Palmeiras. You can watch it on BN Sports. You can watch it on Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here if you have not subscribed yet. You get that at 4. You get the MLS games at 6 and 9. Your Saturday is all set. And yes, there are some other of the college football variety that I'll be keeping an eye on as well. Yes, that's a thing down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'll be watching my team Georgia in that as well. But let's get back to the soccer and the Libertadores final. Flamengo, Palmeiras, The Guardian called both of them superpowers. 2 teams that are defining South American football right now. Flamengo, they're 5 points clear at the top of the Brazilian league. They're probably going to win that. They have top-level depth. Felipe Luis as the manager, a lineup with Samuel Lino, Jorginho, Saul Niguez. This is a really strong team that could compete anywhere in the world. They've beaten Palmeiras twice in the league this year as well. They've been the steadiest team in South America all season long. For Palmeiras, the pressure is ramping up a little bit for them and for Abel Ferreira. 10 trophies in 5 years. They've put everything into this. They rested starters in the midweek to be ready for this. That game got away from them. Now, their comeback against Liga de Quito, they were down 3-0 after the leg in Ecuador. They came back to win 4-0 at home. That's one of the great Libertadores moments in history. Can they dial it up again against a team that I think is better than them? I don't think so. I think Flamengo is going to take it this time. But between 2019 and 2022, Flamengo and Palmeiras won all 4 Libertadores titles. This winner here will be the first Brazilian club with 4 Libertadores titles. It's going to be a big game. Flamengo come in as favorites. I think they take it, but I'm looking forward to this one on Saturday. Starting today, you can get your weekend rolling with the UEFA Women's Nations League final. It's going to be 2 legs between Spain and Germany. First leg in Germany. It's a rematch of their unforgettable Euro 2025 semifinal. Spain is rebuilding a little bit under Sonia Bermudez, but the quality is still top-notch with Aitana Bonmati, Alexia Putellas, Laia Alexandri. This is a really strong team. Germany under Christian Vuk are finally showing some consistency, and Katrin Berger back off of a great season in the NWSL. Clara Bull is in top form, and that double pivot of Nuskin and Sinne are playing some of their best football. Spain are going to dominate the ball. Germany will break forward on the counter and with pace. What happens in the first leg in Germany? How aggressive is Germany to try to get something out of this, knowing they got to go back to Spain and Madrid for leg 2 early next week? Looking forward to this one. That starts this afternoon. Let's get into some pressure points in Europe while we're there. You've got a lot of interesting situations happening at the moment. Liverpool is 1. Arne Slot says he'll fight on, but 9 losses and 12 is uncharted territory for Liverpool. Every time I see that number, I'm like, no. And then you start going back and doing the math, and you're like, yeah. 4-1 against PSV at Anfield was, I'll say the word that first came to mind, embarrassing. That's not a team that you should be losing by 3 goals at home to. And they're very good. But there is a difference between the top team in the Netherlands and Liverpool, the defending Premier League champions, even if they're not playing like it. Alisson Becker may return soon. They'll return. The team will travel to West Ham on Sunday. I think the pressure is definitely ramping up. Confidence levels are fragile. I've had this conversation a lot this week, and I was having it at the Brewhouse Cafe on Wednesday. Should Arne Slot's seat be hot? I think it has to be. It shouldn't be, considering he won the league title last year. But the way that they're losing games, and by 3 goals, 3 games in a row, and giving up 10 goals in their last 3, the seat has to be warm. It doesn't have to be fully scorching at this point, but it's got to be warm, right? I don't remember seeing something to this extent. Going to be a fascinating one. Liverpool at West Ham on Sunday. Real Madrid. There's been pressure because of all the conversations about Xabi Alonso. They hadn't won in a little while. They won at Olympiacos. Kylian Mbappe with a 7-minute hat trick. Mbappe spoke out. Other players did as well about protecting and standing up for their manager, Xabi Alonso. Camavinga was in that conversation. But what does Vinny Jr. think about the public backing for Xabi Alonso from his teammates after the things that he has said or not said about his manager in that conversation? I think there's a lot to unpack in that locker room. There's things to unpack across the country as well in Barcelona. Hansi Flick, he stays positive after another heavy defeat. He did have 10 men attached to it. There was a red card in the first half with Araujo foolishly getting the red card in the first half. He didn't need to get the second yellow. Flick defends the high line. He said critics don't know how we want to play, and that's fully true because people just keep saying, like, oh, just drop back. No, it's not that. And he also talked about how the defense is getting a lot of the criticism, but the attacking players have to set the line. If you play the high line and you don't get the pressure high up the field, things start to fall apart. He keeps insisting, Hansi Flick, that the team is close to clicking. Pedri returning soon really helps. Getting Gavi back at some point will help. That'll make that midfield stronger and make everything click a little bit better. But they need some results. They're in the mix for La Liga. They're totally in the mix for Champions League. They'll pick themselves up here. But, yeah, I agree with Hansi Flick in the sense that I think some of the criticism of the way they play is it's not coming from a understanding of the way that they want to play. You have to know how they want to play. And this is where I think it's an important distinction. And look, maybe I'm just being annoying here and getting into semantics. Those of us on the outside of a team can look at the way that they play and think, well, I would like to see them play a different way. But that's not how you judge if they're being successful or not. It's not about what you want. It's about what the team is trying to do. Now, we don't always know that. But in this case, we know how Hansi Flick wants to play. We know enough to say, are they successful in what they're trying to do? Right now, no, because they're not getting enough pressure high up the field. It's exposing the high line. The high line's not the issue. It's not protecting it that is the issue right now for Barcelona. You have to talk about it and break it down in the way of knowing what they're trying to accomplish and are they being successful in it. There's another conversation about should they do that. They're doing it. So that's not like they're going to do it. That's not going to change. Let's go to Bayern and Arsenal. Some fallout from Arsenal's big win over Bayern, giving them a loss in Champions League for the first time this season. Joshua Kimmich pokes the bear a little bit. He said PSG were the toughest opponent that Bayern has faced, not Arsenal. Kind of diminished the way that they play as to just physical and set pieces, and I think that's a little harsh, but I think it might also be a statement with a little more intent behind it. Arsenal will head to Chelsea on Sunday, 6 points clear at the top. I think Arsenal's the best team in Europe right now. I said it in the group chat this week. They're deep. They're great defensively. This is the best team right now in Europe, and they play. They absolutely play. But they take advantage of the opportunities as well with set pieces, with other things that you can work on. They do. They absolutely take advantage of those, but they play. Arsenal undefeated in 16 across all competitions. Chelsea coming off of a big 3-0 win over Barcelona. They're finding their stride. Estevao is really becoming a huge star at the moment. Stamford Bridge is going to be electric on Sunday. Also on Sunday, Roma and Napoli. Napoli with back-to-back wins after some injury issues. Roma have stumbled, but Paulo Dybala could be back. Antonio Conte's Napoli will walk into this one with some momentum and some confidence. Milan, Inter, Bologna, they are all lurking, hoping for some slip-ups in Serie A. Some other bits of news to wrap up this edition of the Morning Espresso. Eintracht Frankfurt topped the world in transfer market efficiency, according to the CIES. 364 million euros sold, 78 million euros spent. Net is 286 million, plus massive value that has raised still in the squad. In terms of efficiency, Brighton, Stuttgart, Atalanta, and Benfica round out the top 5. At the bottom, and this rates how much is being spent versus how much is being sold versus the value rising or falling of the players within your squad. Al Hilal, Al Nassr, West Ham, Aston Villa, and Manchester United. Those are your least efficient teams in the transfer market. The refill, your global roundup. Here's some updates from all over. Portugal, they won the U17 World Cup yesterday over Austria. Nottingham Forest, they beat Malmo in Europe on a night that honored their 1979 European champions. First leg of the Liga MX quarterfinals last night. Chivas and Cruz Azul scoreless draw in the first leg. Not a lot going on in that one. Some reports out of France of police using excessive force against Newcastle fans after their match in Marseille. Christian Pulisic, he is likely going to miss out this weekend for Milan due to a muscle injury. Sweden, the federation, have announced plans for a new national football center focused on innovation and integration. And in Bolivia, in a cup match, 17 red cards after a mass brawl. That one will definitely go down in history. Just ugly scenes in Bolivia, and there's some reports that racist comments and taunts got that one started. So there will be plenty more fallout to come from that. It's one of these weekends where the soccer world's going to give you a little bit of everything. MLS Conference Finals on Saturday, a Copa Libertadores final on Saturday, a Nations League final, 2 legs starting today on the women's side. Arsenal and Chelsea, Roma and Napoli, pressure points boiling all across Europe. It's all on the table. Settle in, enjoy the ride. I'll be back on Monday with a brand new edition of the Morning Espresso to recap all of it. The game never stops, neither do we. Have a great weekend. See you soon.